Insiders, there is a smear campaign against Virginia Giuffre. The Met Police will never investigate Andrew, and Jeffrey Epstein lived by his own rules, and the law never prosecuted him as it should. Welcome to Lauren the Insider. Now, I want to be really honest with you guys. I know that making this video is probably going to ostracize me from the royal YouTube community, and I am going to be on the end of a lot of trolling. I am making this video because the reason I want to do this work is to ultimately fund documentaries to advocate for women and children, whether it be human transportation or many, many different areas. At the root of what I do, I am driven to uncover corruption. And so when there is corruption and when there is justice not being served and when there is two-tier policing or two-tier judiciary, that is something that is really important to me. And the recent video that Lady C made, I think is absolutely abhorrent. And I'm calling it out. And I am not looking to have a public spat, but this cannot be normalized and it cannot be accepted because it is so toxic. I'm going to show you the clip, and if you guys have followed me from the beginning, you will know I am so bad at the tech side, okay? And so if you knew how many times I had to watch this blimming clip to clip it, please give me a like for this video because it was awful. But I want to show you this video. I intentionally didn't make a YouTube yesterday because I was very upset about it. And I didn't want to be hot-headed, and I just wanted to sit and gather my thoughts on it. Because I know from my time in mainstream media that trying to discredit someone else is a very, very common tactic. And this is what we're seeing with Virginia Giuffre. So instead of actually looking at the big picture, people are trying to discredit the narrative and Virginia's story. And one thing I would say is that it is very common amongst people that have been deeply traumatized in childhood to have a patchy memory. Part of the work I do is I interview a lot of victims and survivors on the Sean Atwood channel. I also, behind the scenes, work with victims and survivors, and I know this to be true. So picking holes at someone who is no longer here to defend themselves and trying to gaslight the narrative that they are mentally unstable and that they are a liar is something I feel deeply uncomfortable with. So let me show you this clip.
Cover that at the age of 13 she was on drugs, living rough and on the game, and living with a 65-year-old paedophile. I felt so much compassion for her family.
You did hear that correctly. And so I just want to show you the definition of on the game. It means working as a, I won't say the word because of YouTube censorship. You cannot be on the game when you are 13. When you are 13, you're a child. So if situations like that arise, that is abuse, and it is child transportation, and it is grooming. Okay. So those comments I found deeply, deeply shocking, particularly as this is a woman that has many, many followers. And what we are doing here is we're calling it out. And some people might feel uncomfortable with that. And I know there does seem to be this YouTube world whereby people go on other people's channels and all of that. And no doubt I will completely ostracize myself from doing that by speaking out. That is fine. I am fine with that. And if I lose subscribers from speaking out on that, I am also fine, because this is not acceptable. Children cannot consent, and happy children in loving homes do not do the things or do not end up in situations like Virginia Giuffre. Predators know how to groom and spot and exploit vulnerable children. And so I called this out on X yesterday and I said, if I don't log off now, I'll get arrested. But this needs saying. Calling Virginia Giuffre a 13-year-old prostitute is vile. That's not expertise, it's moral rot. Anyone normalizing abuse of women or children should never be someone you listen to, engage with, or hold in high regard. And I stand by that 100% because in the video, Lady C also went on to say that Virginia wasn't a victim because she got paid $15,000, wasn't a victim. And, she said slaves don't get paid. So are we now in a situation whereby if you've been paid or if money has exchanged hands, you're not allowed to have a problem? Is this it? Is it this aristocratic ancient view that she seems to be taking of a two-tier system whereby you're paid, so shut up? No, we're not having that. And she then went on to say that Jeffrey Epstein was not a PDF. Well, I'd like to draw your attention to this document from the US Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigations. And it says, as part of our commitment to transparency, the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigations have conducted an exhaustive review of investigative holdings relating to Jeffrey Epstein. To ensure that the review was thorough, the FBI conducted digital searches of its databases, hard drives, and network drives, as well as physical searches of squad areas, locked cabins, decks, closets, and other areas where responsive material may have been stored. These searches uncovered a significant amount of material, including more than 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence. The files relating to Epstein include a large volume of images of Epstein, images and videos of victims who are either minors or appear to be minors, and over 10,000 downloaded videos and images of illegal child abuse, material, and other pornography. So I don't feel like I need to read the entirety of that to make the point clear that Jeffrey Epstein was a PDF. And any normalization of coercing and grooming vulnerable children, or even if they are over the age of 18, young women, this is the weaponization of money, power, and influence. And this is exactly why Jeffrey Epstein was never treated the same as anyone else, because he had money, because he could buy his way out of his problems. And you will see that the sweetheart deal, which was in 2008, it said Jeffrey Epstein was not convicted of being a PDF. Well, I've just showed you the FBI document. So, well, it's very clear. Nor was he ever formally charged with PDF, which isn't actually a legal charge. It's a clinical term, not a criminal one. Here's what did happen in the so-called sweetheart deal of 2008. Now, you'll remember that this was the very sweetheart deal where Prince Andrew lobbied MPs on behalf of Epstein. Charges 2007. Epstein was under federal investigation for abusing dozens of underage girls, some as young as 14, and for running what prosecutors later described as a transportation operation. Federal case dropped. Despite the evidence, then US Attorney Alexandra Acosta agreed to a secret non-prosecution agreement that shut down the federal case. See, one rule for them, one rule for us. State plea deal. Instead, Epstein pleaded guilty in Florida state court to 2 minor charges. So it goes on to say what the charges are. So the very system we are meant to put our trust in, we are then told that Don't worry, guys. The Met Police are going to look into this about Andrew. And I just want to pause and find a message that, oh, I didn't have it. There's a message that someone sent me, and I want to read it out to you because, someone seems to think this channel is like a smear campaign on, on Andrew and the King. No, I'm just playing no game. So what you're getting from me is you're getting uncensored information that isn't marinated in PR and damage limitation. I'm just giving you the facts. And having worked for so long at positioning facts in a certain way, I feel that the narrative moves on very, very quickly. And what I am trying to do is collect and present and aggregate information to you in a way that is truthful and honest, with no spin, with no censorship. And so this was on YouTube. Elmont Videos commented, I kind of feel suspicious about this channel low-key doing a smear campaign against His Majesty and the King. I have a firm belief that the King knows what he is doing, and it's absurd that everyone is coming at him for other people's unfortunate decisions. Kindly do not hurry him up to fulfill your fantasies to negatively hurt other people when it comes to certain decisions. I see a huge pattern here. This channel seems to be against the King a lot. It's unfortunate. I am a huge supporter of the King and the royal family from the Commonwealth, and I believe they will make better decisions with time. Well, Elmont Videos, I would say have a look at all of my videos, because actually I am a huge supporter of Prince William and Princess Catherine, and I think they are imperative to this country and to the Commonwealth. And I have full faith and full hope that this would never have happened if they were head of state. So I think, in fact, I can see from a PR point of view, William's name keeps coming into, the Prince Andrew story in the mainstream press, which I find deeply unfair. He's not in a position where he can comment. And I feel that the palace are very much using William to try and dampen down the story. And this is unforgivable. We have seen the palace in the past use, according to ABC, the leverage of Prince William and Princess Catherine to squash the Virginia Giuffre story that ABC News had. And this is something that I do not think Prince William and Princess Catherine will stand for when they eventually become head of state, because this is a really, really dirty tactic. And what I believe the palace are trying to do is bring in, Prince William is a character that we love and we trust. And so to me, it looks like they're bringing his name into the narrative to try and control it and to try and get some more public trust on board. So the next thing I want to show you all is, let's have a look. Met Police looking into claims Andrew saw information on accuser. So I'm going to read this for you. Actually, I made a video that I wanted to share with you. And I'm not good at the techie side, but I'm going to do something that is really not what YouTubers do. But I wanted to show you why I don't believe, this is from my Instagram, why I don't believe we can put any trust in the Met Police when it comes to looking into Andrew, holding him accountable for what he has done. And we know, if you're joining from the Commonwealth, hello, and if you're joining from anywhere else in the world, thank you. You may or may not know what is going on in the UK at the moment, but the Met Police do not have a great reputation, and we have a lot of grooming going on in London that our mayor is failing to acknowledge. And so last night, I went down the rabbit hole for you, and I wanted to, I always want to bring you facts, and I want to make sure that my shows are rooted in evidence. You're not coming here for gossip. You're coming here for no nonsense, analytical expertise. And so I thought, well, I've interviewed Andrew Loney, who has told me how much Andrew got away with and how kind of close and cahoots, how much in cahoots his team were with the police, and that he, would pay off speeding fines so they didn't go through, or people were told to kind of turn a blind eye. And so I appreciate this is the worst kind of streamer thing to do this. I know, but I just don't know how to get it on stage. So this is some coverage just from the last few years of mainstream media that is about the Met Police. So the very police that we're told to put our trust in for Andrew to, be interviewed. So you can't see it so well, but the extent of corruption in that police force is shocking. And what they always hope is they hope that probably people like me don't collect and aggregate the information and present it to you without PR and without fluff and everything. And so here then we have Prince Andrew latest. Giuffre claims Andrew's team tried to hire internet trolls to hassle her in memoir. So we also know, remember, as Andrew Loney said, that there was a billionaire Arab brought on board to smear his name, to smear his Amazon rating, where he all of a sudden has lots of 1-star reviews for his book. Never happened to him before, but now he does a book on the Duke and Duchess. All of a sudden, he seems to be on the receiving end of it. So I want to read this piece to you that's on The Independent. It says, Prince Andrew facing fresh scandal over his ties with Jeffrey Epstein. And I just want to say as well, guys, that, if any of these accusations happened to us, or if we behaved in this way where we have seen a pattern with Andrew and Sarah, and now with Virginia, we've seen that Jeffrey Epstein, different rules applied. We know that different rules have applied with Andrew. I'm not on some crusade to just focus on Sarah and Andrew. Trust me, if I didn't have 2 young kids, I would be working more than I already am on uncovering more corruption, because I believe until you and I are safe and that the same law applies to all of us, then none of us are safe. So I will keep calling this out. So, okay, back to the piece. In her memoir, Virginia Giuffre has claimed Prince Andrew's team tried to hire internet trolls to hassle her online. Andrew faces further questions this week with the imminent publication of Giuffre's harrowing account of her life, which is due to be released on Tuesday. An early copy of the autobiography obtained by The Independent has 88 references to Andrew across 400 pages. Andrew gave up using all of his titles and honours on Friday as fresh allegations continue to surface. He paid millions to Giuffre to settle a civil assault case, despite claiming never to have met her. She wrote of her 2022 legal settlement with him. After casting doubt on my credibility for so long, Prince Andrew's team had gone so far as to hire internet trolls to hassle me. Well, I also believe there's someone else that hires internet trolls to hassle people, as they've hit me. And they've also been targeting Taz as well, I see online. So, and we've both been targeted with the same the same things they've said about us all. So do better, trolls. Anyhow, the Duke of York owed me a meaningful apology as well. Giuffre alleged, which Andrew vehemently denies, that she was forced to have beep with the prince on 3 occasions, including when she was 17, after being transported by PDF financer Jeffrey Epstein. And then it says, how could Parliament strip Andrew of his titles? Although Prince Andrew voluntarily gave up his titles on Friday, mm, it is up to Parliament to formally strip him of the dukedom through legislation. I'd just like to say in here, they seemed to be able to put secondary legislation through for the online safety bill under the premise that this was for child safety. No, it's not. It's to gag free speech. But yet again, what Starmer does is hides behind the whole, this is for the children. I've seen your history at the CPS, Starmer. I don't agree with you. Continue. The precedent for stripping royals of their titles was set by the Royal 1917 Titles Deprivation Act, which stripped royal titles from those who supported Germany in the First World War. Another option put forward by Rachel Maskell, the MP for York Central, is for the monarch to be given the power to formally remove royal titles. Well, yes, this makes sense because so much of what the royals can and can't do is ceremonial and no, he needs to have the power to be able to strip Andrew and Sarah, and while you're at it, do Harry and Meghan. A number of MPs have called for Parliament to use its power to strip Andrew of his titles, but ministers have suggested it is not a matter for the government. Well, hang on, all we hear, we hear that it's royals can't get political, and then the Parliament saying, oh, we can't get involved. Can someone get involved? Can you take Harry's title away? Can you take Meghan's title away? Sarah's and Andrew's? These are people that, in my opinion, have not put the monarch first or the monarchy first. They have purely been motivated by money, 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 and greed and ego. These are not people that are reflecting well on our country or on the Commonwealth. And this is not what we want. We are experiencing some of the worst instability we've seen in the UK for a long, long time. And so actually, if Charles could just sort this out, we would all be most grateful, because all of the time that Harry and Meghan are not held to account and are continuing to have these titles, ultimately what it does is it says, yep, you've got the royal stamp of approval. And this must stop because they have brought shame on the royal family. So I'll just continue this article. Right. Government must bring forward an act to strip Andrew of titles, MP says. There is no justification for the UK government not to bring forward an act of parliament to strip Prince Andrew and Lord Mandelson of their titles, the SNP's leader at Westminster said. Stephen Flynn said he would not sit silent while the family of Virginia Giuffre and the British public are angry and aghast. It comes amid claims Prince Andrew had sought to obtain through his police protection staff the personal information on Miss Giuffre, who was transported by the late PDF Jeffrey Epstein. So I'm assuming we, the taxpayer, then we paid the police protection officer, did we? Right. So not only have we footed the bill for Andrew to go and play golf and on his Middle Eastern jollies trying to network. So as Sarah said, they could all have a lick of the spoon with commission. But yeah, we've obviously been footing the bill for this private protection officer to do something that is ultimately running a smear campaign and is a gross abuse of power. Mr. Flynn said the family of Virginia Giuffre, whose life was destroyed, are angry and aghast. The public across these aisles are angry and aghast, and they both deserve to know that some MPs share their outrage. I mean, the problem is the MPs are all playing a game, and very, very few of them stand for what is actually important to people like you and me. So I won't sit silent. If an act of parliament is required to strip the likes of Peter Mandelson and Prince Andrew of their titles, then there can be no justification from this Labour government as to why that is not immediately happening. Where do things stand with Andrew and William? William is always understood to have wanted to take decisive action on the controversy surrounding Andrew and his links to PDF Jeffrey Epstein. Well, yes, this is why we love Prince William, because he gets things done. He wants to modernise the monarchy, and he will not have this absolute mud drag down what his grandma and family have built. He is now said to be planning a more ruthless approach towards his uncle, banning him from his future coronation and public events, according to the Sunday Times. Can we have a round of applause for Prince William? I like this. I like this very much. The newspaper claimed future King William is not satisfied with the outcome after Andrew gave up his titles. Again, this is exactly what we want to see from our future king. Thank you for listening to us, William. You are the only one that seems to be, and this is why I truly believe he is going to be a phenomenal king. The newspaper added that William will also ban Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, from royal events, but their daughters, his cousins, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, will still be welcome at family and official gatherings. The king has already ruled that Andrew will no longer attend the Christmas Day service with the royal family. No mince pies for you, Andrew. And the statement on Friday was viewed as a final banishment for the prince after the ongoing drip-feed of scandal over the years. And then we come on to Giuffre's heartfelt wish that the book was published in the event of her death. So it then talks about how long she'd been working on this book. And what I want to make clear is part of this smear campaign, okay, is Virginia didn't write the book. On this shelf, okay, you will see there's an array of books. Some are books that I did the book deal for when I worked in the industry. Some are just books I really like. Now, some I have promoted books, okay, for celebrities who not only had worked with ghostwriters, they had not read their own books. They would meet a ghostwriter maybe a handful of times, and then the ghostwriter would go off and write the book. This is very common. What I would say is that Virginia was working with her ghostwriter over a period of 4 years. That's a very long time to be working on the book. I believe it would be 4 years because what Virginia was writing about was deeply harrowing, deeply triggering, and also it would have gone through so many legal reads. Remember, as I've said time and time again, the amount we know in the public is so small regarding the true extent. So when we are seeing things come out about Sarah and Andrew and the leaked emails and, the Jeffrey Epstein sweetheart deal being a clear case of two-tiered judiciary, then we know that it is so much worse. Because if this is what has come out, despite the world's best lawyers trying to squash it and intimidate and silence people, and if this has come out, despite the fact that there have been publicists spinning plates and the palace have abused power before, we know from the ABC testimony of the journalist saying the palace threatened to withhold access, then imagine how bad the true extent is. And so I just want to end with just another look at this video from Lady C, because I just want to bring this right back to my main point. A 13-year-old cannot be on the game. A 13-year-old cannot consent. A 13-year-old is a child. And so let's stop normalizing this type of weaponization and abuse towards victims and towards child exploitation.
Discover that at the age of 13 she was on drugs, living rough and on the game, and living with a 65-year-old paedophile. I felt so much compassion for her family.
And so I'll end by saying that if you've enjoyed my video, please do like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you want to hear from me. But if I do lose insiders from being honest and standing out about things that I understand that are really important to me, then that is what will happen. Because what I'm not going to do, I'm never going to come on here and be disingenuous. I am not someone that has come on here trying to set up a buy me a coffee or set up a membership for people. And there's no shade to people that have memberships. That is brilliant. But for me, I just want to come on and give expertise and insight that is not part of a news agenda. I'm not playing a game. And so I have no doubt that I will not be invited on probably anyone else's channel after this, but that is fine. I am a mother to 2 daughters, and I am also a woman that is fiercely protective of victims and survivors. And many of the victims and survivors I have worked with and continue to work with are stuck in coercive, controlled situations. So whether they are paid or not is completely irrelevant. Just because someone is paid, it doesn't take away their truth and their struggle. And so, if you've enjoyed this, I really appreciate it. But I can only ever come on and be me, and I can only ever come on and do what is the right thing for me to do. I can't lie, I can't play a game. And what you are going to get on my channel is I'm always going to stand with women and children that I feel are being abused by the weaponization of money, influence, and power. So, on that note, insiders, I love you all. Even the Karens, there's not many though. I'm really blown away by all of your support and hit over 1 million views at the weekend. So I cannot believe it. But thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the video.